everybody. Welcome to the Talking Heartland podcast. And this is a show where we are talking about back episodes of the Heartland show. We are at season 10, episode 13, 14, and 15 today. And I'm film critic Rachel Wagner, and Michelle Benson is here.
Hey, everyone.
How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm excited to talk about these ones.
Yeah, this was a pretty good little group.
Yeah.
Season 10 has been mixed, so I was kind of glad to get to these ones.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. Well, let's dive in and let's talk about it. So the first one is Home Sweet Home. And our summary is Mallory arrives unexpectedly at Heartland, which has Amy and Jack questioning the real reason for the surprise visit. Meanwhile, Lou is upset to learn that her future plans with Mitch may be in jeopardy. So overall, what do you think about this one?
I thought this was really, really fun. And because I don't look ahead, like I was completely surprised at Mallory coming back. I figured they were sort of trying to make us think it was Ty, but I was like, it's not Ty. I was like, who is it? Then Mallory showed up, and I was like, oh, okay, we're in for a fun episode then.
Yeah, it made me miss Mallory.
Yeah, me too.
I think that she could be back on the show and fit in really well. I kind of wish they would bring her back.
Yeah, me too. And it feels like they're sort of bringing people out like Mallory in, and Scott's made a few appearances, and I feel like they're trying to make up for the fact that, you know, they don't have Lou around, and, you know, Chris Potter's obviously, he's in and out. I'm guessing he must be doing Good Witch, is it he was doing at the same time? Like, he's in and out, like, and obviously our main guys in, you know, he's away traveling. So
yeah, I'm not sure when the last of his Good Witch movies was, and when the show started, but yeah,
it just feels like people are sort of our main cast anyway, apart from sort of Jack and Amy are so in and out. Like, I feel like we've even had Lisa way more this season.
Yeah, so Good Witch, actually, the series started in 2015.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he was already off that, but yeah, I'm sure he was doing other stuff and busy, and it was kind of a shame because I think he could have been really funny at the baby shower.
Yeah.
Especially with him being the what did they call it? The prenatal partner.
Yeah.
I think that would have been funny to have had them there. But yeah, I was just kind of like, oh, she's such a good fit, and I missed Mallory. I really liked her on the show.
Yeah, like her energy, nobody else on the show matches that energy. And obviously, like, Jack's a really good pairing for her, but nobody sort of comes in and has sort of the one-liners and makes you laugh and frustrates the characters as much as she does.
Yeah, because Georgie was kind of put in replacement of Mallory, but they really do have quite different energies.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, she sort of came in and stirred things up, but yeah, Mallory is just such a unique character.
Yeah, and we do have an interview with Jessica Amley on the podcast. I'll put in the description, which was really fun. She's great, so you definitely want to check that out. But yeah, I really was glad to see her back, and it is kind of funny that they made it seem like it was Ty, but I'm like, those legs are not Ty.
Yeah.
So, yes. So then we have this whole thing with Adam being upset with Clay, and then he's mad that Georgie didn't introduce him as her boyfriend, and then he picks a fight with Clay, which it just seems crazy to me because Clay is a lot older than Georgie. Like, it would be weird if he was interested in Georgie. And I feel like Adam should at least talk to her, but he's so obsessed with these messages that he read, these texts.
Yeah, and there was nothing like, if anything, you could read into the text that they're more friendly than, you know, Georgie has let on, because she does say that she doesn't like him, and then he's sort of seen these texts. But there's nothing in them that would make you think, oh, there's something going on there. And again, she's so much younger than him. It's just sort of crazy. It's really...
Yeah.
And to go after like a rodeo cowboy and think that you're going to come out on top of that is just crazy. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, it was crazy when he sort of got into the fight. I was just like, what are you doing?
Yeah, and so then Clay tells Georgie that boy has some fight in him. He seems to think I have a crush on you.
Yeah, and even he says like, if anything, you're like a little sister.
Yeah.
And that's sort of the vibe. They have this sort of fun bantery sort of in a few scenes where we've seen them sort of get on, they've had that kind of fun, banter sort of sibling energy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Georgie confronts him and says, "What are you doing?" And he says he doesn't trust Clay and that he admits he was reading the text.
Yeah.
And it does also kind of mean that he doesn't trust
Yeah.
Georgie at a certain point. And I guess I don't know, I have a hard time with kids in high school having such dramatic relationships on shows like this. Like I just don't know anybody that had that kind of drama in high school. Even my friend who married her high school sweetheart didn't,
Yeah.
didn't have this.
Yeah. I mean, I love the teen shows, and it is just pure drama. It's
Mhm.
and it does sort of put a bit of a stigma on, teenage relationships, which I'm sure are dramatic, but it's like on a whole nother level in these shows.
Yeah, I mentioned before about the library near me that had the Are You Down on Love teen meeting. I'm like, they're teenagers. Why? How could they should be down on love?
It's
And yet they
crazy.
have anti-Valentine's Day parties in high school. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he ends up bringing her flowers and apologizes, and she rejects it.
Yeah.
She says she doesn't know if she can forgive him,
I sort
and he
of like
says,
this for her sort of standing up for herself.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't be with someone who doesn't trust me. Now I
Hmm.
can't trust you, and that's just the way it is. So they break up.
Hmm. Yeah.
So traumatic.
So dramatic. Yeah.
It really is. But I mean, I don't feel like they ever had much chemistry anyway. And it
No.
always felt like they were just kind of hanging out.
Yeah. Yeah. They didn't really feel like they were anything more than friends.
Hmm.
Um, and even in the next episode, she sort of refers to him as more of her best friend. So yeah, they just never had chemistry. And
Yeah.
like I say, I don't know if they were trying to do something different with Adam. And I have really enjoyed having sort of the diversity on the show.
Mhm.
But yeah, the chemistry just wasn't there.
I think that that's got to be the hardest thing. I've never really been through a breakup like that before, but it's got to be the hardest thing because it's not like you care nothing for the person.
Hmm.
They're in your life a lot, and then all of a sudden for them to just be gone, that's got to be tough.
Yeah, and especially because Georgia doesn't have a lot of friends.
Hmm.
And the friends that she does have are her competition. She only really has Adam and Jade. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So Mallory is back and she's been living in London and she's talking about how great it's been. Of course, we
Hmm.
know that's not true.
Yeah.
And Jake keeps trying to call her. And yeah, there's a lot of drama going on for Mallory as well.
Yeah, I loved when she says, and Katie doesn't remember her, and she says, I was basically your primary caregiver.
Yeah, I
And
kind
Lou
of
was so
forgotten that.
offended.
I was like, oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
Lou was so offended, and I'm like, she's kind of true. It's kind of true.
It's true. Yeah. But it would have been when she was really little that she
Very
would
little,
have,
yeah.
yeah, would she wouldn't remember.
No.
But yeah, I'm kind of surprised that I guess this was maybe just before people were FaceTiming all the time, or
Yeah.
they do it some obviously with Ty and everything like that, but
Hmm.
but they she might have recognized her for that
Hmm.
reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, we find out that Jake has proposed. She actually came from Paris, and uh, so she's kind of freaking out.
Yeah.
How old do you think Mallory is supposed to be at this point? Did she say?
She doesn't
Like,
say. I think the actress is like around her 20s at this point.
mm-hmm. Yeah, like,
And she says she flunked out of school, so I'm guessing that's college, so maybe around 19, 20.
oh, I was thinking even older than that, but
Yeah.
maybe you're right. Yeah, she's struggling with school. She hates her roommates.
Can you imagine being Mallory's roommate though?
Yeah, that would be intense. And she wants to jump again. So she's on
Yeah.
Phoenix and she's struggling with it and everything that
Hmm.
I used to know that is a mess. And she says the last year has been a disaster. So it's
Hmm.
been, I guess you're probably right about the age then. So it's just been a year. Uh,
Yeah.
and that's
I
been a
found
mess
it.
at least.
Yeah, I found it a little unbelievable that she hasn't been on a horse in 3 years.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I guess she's been gone for 3 years at this point.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
I
that
think
would
it's
put her at
Jack.
that would
Jack
put
who
her at like
says,
21.
yeah, I think it's Jack who says you can't expect it to stay the same. Life would
Yeah.
be boring if it did.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's a hard thing. And especially because her parents are so not in the picture. Um,
Hmm.
Heartland was kind of our home, and it is always difficult when you go away for, a time, especially, school for the first time, I imagine, and you come home and things are different, life just moves on.
Yeah, I mean, my parents have moved quite a bit, so I don't really have
Hmm.
that like home base that I go back to and be
Yeah.
like, oh, everything's so different.
Hmm.
But I did feel it when I went back to my mission in Indiana. I went back like 5 or so years after, maybe even more than that. I can't remember.
Hmm.
But it was long enough that things had changed. Like some people who had been married were now divorced, and
Hmm.
some people who uh, had been really active at the church now weren't attending anymore. Just like things that were different then. And
Yeah.
I was different because I wasn't a missionary anymore. And so that was definitely very surreal
Uh-huh.
feeling because you kind of keep people the same age as when
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
left them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you expect everybody to just sort of freeze in time until you come
Yeah.
back.
And you're like, whoa, you were just like a teenager and now you're like an adult. You're getting married and stuff like that. What? How's that, how's that a thing? So I thought it was funny when Mitch gets the kind of whoa from Mallory.
Yeah.
And I feel
Yeah.
like that's how all of us would be if we
Yeah,
saw
for
Kevin
sure.
McGarry in our
Yeah,
lives.
yeah, for sure.
You're like, he's the new ranch hand. Whoa, whoa.
Could you imagine if like he was the ranch hand when Mallory was around? Like he
Mhm.
would not have gotten a minute's peace.
Yeah, that's true. And Lou says, "Oh, that we're just friends," and Mallory says, "Nobody is just friends with a cowboy." And Lou and Mitch are being super awkward, and they're like flirting, but not really. It's just sort of weird.
Hmm.
But then she finally goes to him and she says, "I'm interested in our future." And then Mitch kind of freaks out. And then
Hmm.
that makes Lou really upset. So it's just a mess.
Yeah, it did feel a little understandable that Mitch sort of feels like being a ranch hand isn't enough. That he has to sort of to date someone like Lou, he has to sort of be on the same level. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, the second he said that he was going for a job and leaving, I'm like, oh my, do not put us through this again.
Yeah. Yeah. We need Lou to have a relationship that's in Hudson.
Yeah, and yeah, I was glad that she said like, I'm glad that I want you here, and that's part of the reason why I like you so much that you're here.
Yeah, because he says he's found a new job. He hasn't taken it yet, but he's, I guess, looked into it or applied.
Mhm.
And I forget what he said the job. It was something in the
Engineering,
desk.
wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
in engineering. It didn't sound very fun.
No.
And he's comparing himself to Peter. He's saying, your husband is this big oil guy. How am I going to compare to that? And, as we always say, that comparison is the thief of joy, because you're going to be comparing your worst to the person's best. And you also just don't know the whole story. And it's just not helpful or productive for him to be, because obviously things didn't work out with Peter. So
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah, that's not something you should be striving for.
Right, exactly. And he says, I am just as excited about us as you are. But he says, I'm leaving Heartland for you. I want to be the kind of guy you deserve.
That just made me sigh. That's like, no,
right.
not again, not again.
Well, and I think it made Lou sigh. She's just like, what?
Yeah. Why do I keep finding these guys?
Yeah. How do I keep finding these guys? And then we have Amy's baby shower, and Lisa makes Jack put together a stroller, and those kind of things are a nightmare to put together. They're so hard.
Yeah, it feels like they make them harder on purpose.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a stroller, but especially stuff from IKEA where they don't even give you directions. They just have pictures. It's like, I don't read hieroglyphics. How am I supposed to put this together? It's like, you can't. That's why I always hope that when I go to IKEA, I find something in the as is section, because then it's usually already put together, plus cheaper. So it's a win-win as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever put together a piece of furniture in my life. Like I always get someone to do it. Yeah, I get my brother to do it or my dad to do it.
Oh, you're smart. You're smart. I've said for many years that I think that any couple that plans to get married should put together a piece of IKEA furniture. And if they get through it, then they probably are solid, because it's so frustrating.
Yeah, we had an episode of Legends of Tomorrow. One of the main couples in it, Sarah and Ava, they were like at a sort of crossroads in their relationship, and obviously it's like a magical kind of space show. And one of the challenges that they had to do is to sort of prove their worth as a couple and prove to themselves that they belong together, and they want to spend their lives together. And they have to do things like stack the dishwasher together, build a piece of furniture together, like
I think
these
you should
little challenges to sort of see, and it just keeps resetting every time they mess it up.
Yeah, I think you should go on a road trip together. I think you should babysit for a child, even if you're not planning on having children. I think just singing I just think it exposes good and
some
bad
frustrations.
qualities.
Yeah.
And then putting a piece of furniture together. I think that's the three. If your relationship can survive that, you're good. Go ahead and get married. But I did think this shower was really cute. The way they use the onesies on the decor, it was really cute.
Yeah, I would have liked them to have like a few more people at it. It just felt like kind of weird that it was a shower and it was just the family. Even just having like Caleb and Cassandra there, or Scott, or like it just felt very small.
It's true that you didn't have Casey there. You didn't have
Jade.
Jade wasn't there. That is true. That is weird. Jade wasn't there. But Cassandra, because they've been pretending that she's like Amy's best friend this season. But it was cute. We find out that Lisa and Lou got the same stroller. So they didn't use the baby registry well, evidently.
No. But it does seem like Amy hasn't had to like buy anything. Like Lou's taking care of everything.
which is the whole purpose of baby
Yeah, that's the
showers.
purpose. That's the point.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Is to help help the new mom, because
Hmm.
originally people just had one shower, the first shower, first child, and but now we kind of, I mean, why not have more parties? It's fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think, I mean, I was glad they didn't do any games because I do kind of hate shower games. I feel like everyone kind of hates them, but it's like you need to do something. So
Yeah.
you're like changing diapers and stuff like that. I hate
Yeah. You have to do something to earn getting to the cake.
Mhm. Have you ever thrown a baby shower for someone?
I haven't, no. It truly sounds like a nightmare to me. It's too much, or like any kind of party planning sounds like a nightmare to me. It's too much, like trying to sort of keep so many like things in the air at the one time.
Yeah.
I would definitely mess something up.
Yeah, I love entertaining. I love
Yeah.
having people. I miss it so much. It's been so
Hmm.
long
Oh, I
since
could do like
I.
a movie night, like I would love that, but organizing like a invite type of party, not for me.
Mhm. I feel like I've done one, but I can't remember who it was. I know I've done bridal showers. I did one for my cousin. Um, and I think I did one for my sister when she got married. Uh, but yeah, it's been a long time, and I definitely didn't do a whole lot of games because I just like, I like the showers that are more open house in style,
Hmm.
that people can kind of come, they have a present, they can, eat a little food and then just leave. I think that's a good, I generally think that's a pretty good way to do a party,
Yeah.
more open house style.
Yeah. Just let
Or
the party control itself.
mhm. Yeah, they can just stay as long as they want. And I mean, my house, it's kind of hard because I don't really have, I have a pretty big house.
Hmm.
It's 3 stories. A lot of the living space is on the top floor.
Hmm.
So the main floor, the kitchen and living room area and little dining area are pretty small, pretty
Yeah.
cramped. So it's
Hmm.
hard to have more than 5, 6 people over.
Oh well,
Uh,
small party.
yeah, so small party. Unless you are doing open house style. I mean, the best party I ever threw was actually when I bought the house. It was right around my birthday. I forget which year, but my house. I moved in. I moved in February 1st, and my birthday's on the 23rd of January, so it was pretty
Hmm.
close. And so I threw a birthday / housewarming party, and that was a kind of open house style.
Hmm.
And I'd always wanted to get like a fancy cake.
Hmm.
Uh, but I haven't, not married, haven't been married, so I'd never done it. And I got a fancy cake for the party. It was really fun. It was had a kind of an up theme because I love that movie, and it's a
Hmm.
housewarming party, house.
Oh, nice.
Which was pretty fun. And it had 3 tiers, uh, and yeah, I had that kind of up travel, places I loved kind of thing, motif about it, and so that was an epic party.
Oh yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah, but this looked cute. It looked fun. So instead of Lisa and Jack getting her the stroller, they get her a rocking chair they're gonna make for her, which is cute.
Yeah, yeah. You always prefer things that people make as well.
Hmm.
And it seems like things last a long time in this family as
Yeah.
well.
Well, yeah, but if I were Lou, I'd be a little irritated that they they keep making all this stuff for Amy. They got the not the bassinet, but the cradle that they
The
found,
cradle, yeah. Yeah.
and yeah, and they're making this chair.
Yeah, they unearthed that cradle from somewhere.
Yeah. And then you have Katie, who of course loves Mitch. We know that. And
Can't blame her.
no. So she's really excited. Oh, then we have Katie giving Amy her little stuffed animal.
Oh yeah, that was cute.
That was really, really cute. And then yeah, that's when Georgie breaks up with Adam. And then we have this whole conversation between Lou and Amy, where Amy says, I don't know what I would have done without you bugging me, which is sweet, but I also feel like you would have been fine.
Yeah, she would have done everything, but she just would have done it super late.
Yeah, she would have just done it in her own way.
Yeah, her own
But
time.
instead of worrying about it. But Mitch talks to Georgie, and then Georgie says, guys suck at communication. And then Mitch says, you girls are pretty intimidating sometimes. So that was kind of a nice moment between the two of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm hoping we'll get more of them in the future.
Mm-hmm. He's like, don't be all lumping us all in together. And so he says, I like working here. It makes me feel like part of the family. And I thought this was pretty telling because he's basically is willing to do for Lou what Peter was not willing to do.
Yeah.
He's willing to give up this career, unlike Peter, but seems like he's perfectly happy with this. I mean, because when you're in a relationship, sometimes you have to give up things for the other people. Because that's part of being in a relationship is two people's desires and wants and have to become one, have to become a couple. So you're going to have to give up some things.
Yeah. Yeah, and especially considering Lou's still sort of on the go, so it's not like she's in one place all the time. So yeah.
So they kiss, and then we find out Ty is on the home stretch. He's coming back, thank goodness. And then Jake shows up. So yeah. And Mallory jumps successfully at the end.
Yeah.
So this was pretty fun episode. What would you give it 1 to 10?
Like a 7.5, maybe an 8, because it just felt so. Well, this one and the next one's just sort of felt so nostalgic.
Yeah, I think that's good. We'd like to take a second from this episode of the podcast to celebrate our sponsor of this episode, and that is the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast?
Do you want an inside scoop into what happens on the podcast?
Do you want early access to episodes and loads of cool perks?
Now is the time to become a patron of Hallmarkies podcast.
By becoming a patron, you get to access our patron Facebook group.
You can request episodes or even be a guest on the podcast.
And most importantly, any patron can join our monthly movie watch-alongs with stars like Paul Campbell, Natalie Hall, and more.
It's as low as $2 a month to join in and become a special part of the Hallmarkies family.
Please consider, and we will love you forever.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
All right, so then the next episode is called Written in the Stars, and it's Jake's unexpected arrival prompts Mallory to reveal why she came to Heartland. Georgie helps Amy with an underperforming cutting horse. Lou and Mitch struggle to find the perfect moment to tell the family about their relationship. So this is when we find out that Mallory left Jake in Paris, needed time to think, and so she's nervous about it. She's stressed out. Yeah, what do you think about that?
I mean, Valerie and Jake are like the cutest, but I just don't understand why they have to get married. I'm like, why just go traveling together? Like, why is marriage like the thing? And I really would have liked to there to have been, you know, a couple more scenes with Mallory and Jake. It felt like we were sort of given very little to understand
Mm.
why marriage was kind of the only way, and it felt like maybe the writers had decided that this would be the last time we would possibly see them. And they
Yeah.
wanted to give them like the ending that the fans wanted. But yeah, just it felt like they were way too young for this type of ending.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I guess we're not really in a world where they would just live together.
Yeah,
That that's too like
yeah, and they're not like Amy and
racy.
Ty, where they were sort of, you know, based in Heartland, and you know,
Hmm.
Ty had gone and done his. Well, we thought Ty had gone and done his traveling. And Amy was quite happy to, you know, remain in Heartland, and whereas these two do seem like they want to go see the world, and yeah, it just feels a bit weird that they can't do that without getting married. Maybe
Yeah.
it's again a Heartland thing of not really going there.
Or I don't understand why they can't do both. Like
Yeah,
why they need to start having a family and everything and get
yeah,
settled down
immediately.
right away. As a married couple, you can go and travel and
Yeah,
do pretty much anything that you can do
yeah.
as
But
a
again,
single.
it's this Heartland thing of like it's are they trying to say to us that we can't have them, you know, go traveling together, living together, doing all these things together unless they're married? You know, they
Yeah.
sort of did the same thing with Ty. They just didn't fill in the gaps. We didn't know the status of the relationship. Um, you know, it just
Yeah, I
they've
remember talking
given
to
us
my
so little.
sister, one of my sisters, about this a long time ago, where she seemed to have this idea that I remember saying to her, just because you get married does not mean you have to turn into like Donna Reed, and like all of a sudden have like all these kids and stuff. Like you
Yeah,
can do your marriage can be whatever you want it to be.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah,
But she starts to get they fight about traveling and then Lou makes her wedding cake and she's kind of freaking out. She's like, I can't do this anymore. And it's like I was stuck in the icing, stuck together and can't move. Uh, and Jack tells her, things will be clear in the morning. Calm down. But And she does say, like, Jake would never stand in my way if I wanted to do something.
yeah,
But
yeah. It seems like it's more Jake that wants the marriage part.
mhm.
Um, I guess he's just more. They're trying to kind of make out like, well, not make out, but like he's just sort of a sort of very traditional guy.
Yeah, and I think it probably would make a Mallory happy. And then there is a certain point where it's like, well, if it's not, you reach impasses where it's like, what is there a point where I'm not willing to commit to this relationship and why?
Yeah,
And it
and it
seems like
also,
that was
yeah, it
this.
also kind of feels like, although you know they're probably around, you know, 22, 23, they feel so much younger to me as I'm watching them.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, they still feel like they're teenagers.
Yeah.
They certainly look like they're still teenagers.
So Mallory invites Scott
Oh
to
my
come
god.
to the dinner. This dinner keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Mallory's like you and me, Rachel. We're just shipping Lou and Scott all the way through.
Yeah. And I mean, this must be one of those just these roasts that just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger by the
Uh-huh.
minute because people keep
Yeah,
adding to this dinner.
yeah, yeah. There's definitely not enough food for everybody. Everybody's getting half portions.
Right. Yeah, it's not like add another adds more water to the soup. You can't do that with
Yeah.
this.
No, no, no.
But yeah, because Mitch is coming and Jake is coming and we
Scott's
have
coming.
Yeah, and then Scott is coming. And I did like when Jack was like, is that what that was all about? With Scott. And the Mallory is like, you trying to play matchmaker again? That was funny.
Yeah.
But then she sees Lou and Mitch kissing. And so then she knows that, oh, there's something in between. And she blurts it out at dinner. So
Of course
now
it is.
Georgie
Yeah.
knows and Katie knows, and it's a big mess.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt bad for Georgie because it's not the ideal. It was sort of funny in the sense that it was such a classic Mallory move. How many times have we seen her do that over the years? But I just felt so bad for Georgie. It's not the way she should have found out.
Yeah, it would have been nice if they'd had like a real conversation about it.
Yeah.
And she says, I like Mitch, so it's okay. But
Yeah.
and then the Lou says to her, a bruised elbow is easy, but a broken heart is a lot harder, which was very sweet.
Yeah.
Because there is this horse named Tab, and it's supposed to be a cutting horse. And I have to admit, I was like, what is a cutting horse? And so I looked it up.
Yeah, it's just like a cattle horse, isn't it?
Yeah. That helps. And it's not wanting to be a cutting horse. And so Amy has this idea of, can we train it? So then April will be interested in buying it for as a trick riding horse. And Georgie just gets so attached to these horses.
Yeah. Yeah, for
So
sure.
quickly. And she's
Yeah.
very attached, and she's very upset that the owner of Tab's owner wants to put it up for auction.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's very upsetting. And then she goes and rides Tab in the morning, she gets bucked off, she hurts her arm, and that's finally when she tells Lou about Adam, and that's when you get the line about the bruised elbow is easy, but a broken heart is a lot harder. But yeah, she keeps trying to ride this horse Tab.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And that
it
looked
just feels
painful.
like such a it looked really so. It's such a like classic Amy storyline, as well as trying to sort of work your emotions out a lot when it's to tie it to like a horse.
Yeah, you got to always rehabilitate a horse somehow, some way.
Yeah. That'll get you
Tab.
through a breakup or a family disaster or.
Because I think that this particular auction, it's not like a being auctioned off for meat, right?
No,
It's like
it's just like a high spider type thing.
But it's very upsetting to Georgie. And
it didn't help that Mallory basically said it would end up on the meat truck.
right. Well, and so then Mallory decides that she does love Jake. And so then she goes after him, and he's in the camper riding and saying, I'm going to go to Mexico. I'm tired of dealing with you and this back and forth, which totally makes sense.
Yeah.
And he says, as long as we are together, that's all I want. And Mallory says, I promise I won't change my mind again. But he says, nope, I'm going to Mexico by himself. And so she's devastated. But then just as she is about to go back to Paris, he shows up in the camper and proposes again, one last time. He's like, this is it. This is the last chance.
Oh my God, it's so funny. Jack's like, oh boy.
And then they have their wedding at the end, which is very small in the barn, with basically just the folks from Heartland there. But it was cute.
Yeah, I wish we'd had like a Mallory and Copper scene. We literally just saw them in the barn once, very briefly.
Yeah, she sees Copper once, but Yeah, I was wondering why she didn't try. I guess he's not a jumping horse.
I don't think he's a jumping horse, but I think he's too old, but it's still her horse.
Yeah, that would have been cute. I would have liked that too. But then we just get the wedding. So I always like a Heartland wedding.
Hmm.
It's always nice. So I liked this episode. I thought it was pretty cute.
Yeah.
I think I give it an 8.5.
Yeah, same.
All right. So then the last episode is called Forest for the Trees. And it's Amy struggles with the feeling that something is not right with Ty when she and Jack strive to help Ghost, a wild horse linked with Ty's past. Georgie goes on a fun date with Clay's cousin. Tim steps up when Jade's plans fall through. And as far as this whole fun date with Georgie, I guess this is what I think is appropriate for teens dating in high school.
Hmm.
Like just fun, just go have fun. It doesn't need to
Yeah.
be so serious. It should just be like fun activities that you're all doing together.
Yeah.
That's what it
Yeah,
was.
this kid is everything I wish Adam would have been.
Mhm.
Of just like the perfect balance of like kind of full of himself, but not in an off-putting way. Like he's kind of
Mhm.
dorky and charming at the same time.
Yeah, I was kind of
Um,
hopeful that he would stick around because I liked him.
I think he does. I think we're with this guy for a while.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, Wyatt.
I'm
I thought for some
fairly
reason I
certain.
thought, oh, this is just a
Yeah,
one and done.
yeah, I'm fairly certain we've seen him on um the actress's Instagram a few times. I
Oh, that's
think he
good.
does.
That's good.
Let's have a wee-
I liked it. It started out so drama. This dream, everything is like all blue and mysterious and
Yeah, yeah,
hi
18
there.
episodes he's listed for.
It felt like to me, it felt like one of those like Calvin Klein perfume ads to me,
Yeah,
the way it was felt.
yeah,
Obsession or something like that.
yeah, yeah. It's so fun.
Uh, I thought this was a very strong episode for Jade. I don't know if you
Yeah,
agree.
yeah, for sure. I wish we'd had her mum back.
Yeah, she
Just
hasn't
sort
been
of,
here for a long time.
yeah, I think she just sort of introduced Jade, and then we never really. Oh, we did. We saw her when Jade got hurt. I think that was the last time.
Mhm. But she is going on this fishing trip with her dad. She asks for time off. And it was kind of funny to me because it wasn't that long ago that Tim was like, I don't think you two should be working for me. That they had to beg him to allow
Yeah,
them to work at the
yeah,
Maggie's. And now he's like, you can't take a weekend off.
yeah. They're basically running the place at this point.
Yeah. But she is excited about going on the fishing trip with her dad. And then he cancels because he's going to a recital for his new family. And that is brutal.
Yeah.
It makes me think of Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. I
Oh my
reviewed
God.
that. I reviewed that for a family movie night last year. And that
Mhm.
movie's way better than it's given credit for.
Oh,
And
yeah, yeah,
it's a lot more dramatic than I had remembered. And
yeah.
the whole plot line with America Ferrera and her dad and his new family and everything, it's really
Oh,
well done.
yeah, it's crushing. And then you have like
Mhm.
Amber Tamblin's storyline of like the oh
Yeah.
my God, like the second one is good, but I feel like the first one is just it
Yeah.
ticks all the boxes. That one.
Well, even and then Blake Lively's character, her mother's just committed suicide. Like it has a lot of
Yeah,
intense stuff that I had
yeah.
totally forgotten. I was like, oh, it's just a light, fluffy movie with Cosmo.
Rachel's like sobbing.
But again, no, it was, I thought it was really good. And then
Yeah.
at his wedding, when he says our whole family needs to be up here and so she goes up in the wedding and I don't know, it was well done. And I felt a little of that same dynamic here.
Mhm.
And uh, the it's gonna be hard a little bit when you have kind of a new family and you are trying to make everything work with the new family,
Mhm.
but you also have, you know, the old family, but you don't want them to feel like the old family.
Yeah.
I mean, from thinking from the dad's perspective, that's probably pretty tough. But if somebody's already making plans and literally asked off work and it's just that week that it's going to be happening, I think it's really rude.
Yeah, very much so. And I liked it was Tim that sort of was the one to comfort her,
Mm,
because he has been the absentee dad. Like, he has seen it
right.
from the other side, not in the same context, obviously, of having a new family, but he put his, you know, job first and,
Yeah, it was a
turned
good
it
moment
around.
for Tim.
Yeah. Yeah,
One
it's
of
been
his
a good
better.
season for Tim. Yeah.
Yeah. And he says, I believe there's a reason why people go off the rails.
Hmm.
And then that's when she says that his new daughter had a dance recital, so canceled.
Yeah.
And they just kind of have a hug. It was really good.
Hmm.
And like I said, I think Madison Chitow, she did a really good job with this whole
Yeah.
episode.
Hmm.
It was good. So Amy's very worried about Ty. She sees Ghost, which is the horse that they helped when they were, I forget what that place is called, when they were at the fishing cabin.
Hmm. Yeah. I cannot remember.
Hmm.
But that was the one that the Thai got sick,
Hmm.
wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
With a blood fever.
And she sees that Ghost is injured from
Hmm.
barbed wire. And so they end up they get Cass to come up and tranquilize Ghost. But he's hard to kind of nail down, but they finally
Mm.
do. And then they have to do surgery. Well, not surgery, but stitches
Hmm.
on the horse. And then the next thing they look and he's gone. It's very
It was a
supernatural.
magic horse.
It's a
It was a
magic
magic
horse.
horse.
Yes. And and yeah, so Wyatt is Clay's brother, right? Brother. And our
Cousin.
cousin, sorry,
Cousin.
cousin. So Wyatt is Clay's cousin, and he wants to make a good impression on Georgie, and so he gets this car. It's a convertible. It's freezing, but the I guess the top doesn't work or isn't working or whatever,
Hmm.
and he wants to feel cool and everything, and so he takes her on a date. First, she doesn't want to go on the date, but then he kind of says, well, you can help me with my car. And so she goes, they go to this cafe. There's an old timey photo booth,
Hmm.
and that looked really fun.
Yeah. Yeah. He's so charming, and I sort of liked, like you said, this is what two kids spending time should be.
Mhm.
Um, and I like that he wasn't like, he was asking her out in a kind of like a fun way. It didn't feel pushy. It didn't feel like he was being. It's like they introduced Clay in the wrong way. I feel like they introduced Wyatt in the correct way.
Yeah.
Like, you're kind of rooting for him, especially
Mhm.
when we find out that he's kind of a nerd, and he's not very popular, and you know you certainly don't get that feeling from him until he sort of reveals that.
Yeah. And they have, I think, pretty good chemistry.
Hmm.
And when they have their kiss and they say that kisses are pretty wow,
Yeah.
that was pretty fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And it looks like he's in a bunch of episodes. He's in like, yeah, 18 or so episodes. So
Well,
yeah,
that's
he's around
good.
for a bit.
That's very good. I'm glad. And yeah, so this episode, let's see, they finally get a hold of Ty. And he says, oh, everything's fine. We've just been in this faraway village or whatever. And so she's comforted. And then
Mhm.
after he gets off the phone, he collapses. and he's sick with something. So more drama.
Yeah, you can't just come home. There has to be like a dramatic way that he comes home.
Right. And then Georgie calls Adam. And so we'll see what happens with that with episode 15. So what did you think overall of this episode, 1 to 10?
I enjoyed this episode. I think all three of these are like an 8.5 for me. They were really fun.
Yeah, it was a good set. I enjoyed it too. And so, yeah, let us know if you're listening what you think of these episodes. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And Michelle, where can people find you?
On Twitter at Michelle R. Benson.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. Also, make sure you're following the podcast at Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. We really appreciate that. And if you're listening on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Also, check out the Patreon group. And right now, we're running a promotion where if you join the Patreon group, you each dollar that you sponsor, you get an entry in our giveaway where you can get your voicemail recorded by a Hallmark hunk. And one of those for this time is Kevin McGarry. So if you want to have Mitch as your voicemail, you can do it now. You can be entered. We really, really appreciate the support from our patrons, and we have lots of other perks that you get when you join. So please take a look at that. It would help us so much. And you have to enter. You have to sign up before midnight Easter Sunday. So make sure that you sign up. You won't regret it. It's really fun. So check that out. We also have our merch store, which has Heartland inspired merch. So check that out as well. And thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye.
Bye.